Hello guys, welcome and welcome back to my channel. My name is Thlologelo Promise Rampa and this is Relocate to Australia with Promise. Guys, this is still your #1 DIY relocation platform. So if you are looking for information on how you can relocate to Australia or anywhere else in the world, this is the channel to be at, especially if you cannot afford a relocation agent because those people are very expensive. And you know for sure 100% that relocating is something that you want to do. You want to expand your network and you want to show the world what you're made of and you want them to experience the talent. I have done it, my husband did it, a lot of people have done it, so you can also do it. So do not forget to subscribe, like, and comment, and do what people do when they're on this side of town on YouTube. And don't forget to tell your mom, your dad, your friends, your neighbors that there's a girl on YouTube who is teaching and educating people about relocating to Australia, and tell them to come and watch. They might learn something new. Anyways, you guys, let me get down to today's business. It is very clear what I'm going to be talking about today. I'm telling people to not visit the Australian embassy when they're looking to relocate, and I'll explain to you why later on. I did not think that I would have to have this discussion with people because I didn't think people would do the same mistake that I did. But in conversations and the interactions that I've been having with people, I realized that, oh my goodness, either a lot of people have done this mistake or were about to make this mistake. So I am hoping that with this discussion, you will learn something and hopefully not repeat the same mistakes that I did. All right. So this is where I'm going to start with today's conversation. The beginning. So when me and my husband made the decision to say, okay, fine, we want to leave South Africa, we want to go to Australia, we did not know where to start. And I think that is where a lot of people find themselves when they start this whole thing. You literally don't know where to start. And it is a very dangerous position to be in because it is very easy for you to get scammed. It is very easy for you to get discouraged, especially when you contact an agent and they give you those enormous prices and you realize that, oh my God, I will not be able to pay this agent, meaning that I won't be able to relocate. And that is a myth. It is not true. You don't have to pay an agent. You don't have to get an agent to do this process for you in order to relocate. I've been emphasizing this and I will continue to do so. The same thing that your agent can do, you can do it. And it will save you 200,000 rands or more. The 200,000 that you would have been using for this process and also to help you settle when you come to Australia. So do not waste your money. So when my husband and I sat down and made that decision, obviously we had to start somewhere. So the first stage obviously is the decision making, where you sit down with your partner, you sit down with yourself to make that decision to say, okay, fine, this is why we want to relocate, or we have finally decided we are leaving, we want to go, and we are not looking back. We are really going into this thing. Once my husband and I made that decision, the second thing that we did was obviously to do what a lot of people would obviously do. You go onto Google and then you ask Dr. Google, I want to relocate to Australia. What do you have for me? You know, guys, now let me tell you something. Dr. Google can be very dangerous sometimes because Dr. Google is that one where you're like, okay, I've got a pimple on my face, and Dr. Google is like, I know you've got cancer. That time it is just acne. So you must be very careful with the information that you find on Google and make sure that you are talking to legit people and you're visiting real websites. You must be very careful because people who are also in the scam business, they will always make sure that they've got their things covered, where they sometimes go all the way to create websites that look legit only to find out that they are not. So be very careful. So what I did, I went on to Google and I put in there, I think I put in an Australian relocation or something along those lines, something to do with relocation in Australia. And I'll tell you, whatever you put in, even you say how to relocate to Australia or relocating to Australia, the first links that are going to pop up are those of migration agents. So I think these big companies, what they do, they pay these IT guys to then, why am I thinking guys? Because they're also IT girls. But anyway, they pay these IT people. They pay these IT people to have their links be the first ones to pop up when you search anything relocation or Australia or visa or anything or things along those lines. And usually what people do, I'm not too sure, but that's what I do. I would go to the first links that would pop up, and that's not right. Don't be like me, don't do that. But I'm thinking maybe that's what a lot of people also do because they are the first ones to pop up. I think it is just a nature or a natural thing to visit the first website that pops up. I don't know. But anyway, this is like about 4 or 5 years ago. The first websites that would pop up were those of relocation companies. And then I obviously went into them and then I contacted the people. Because in my head, I thought these were the people who were representing Australian immigration. And I thought, wow, okay, fine, now I'm talking to the right people. And how they speak to you also, you will be so convinced that I know I am speaking to people who are going to get me into Australia. And not to say that they're wrong. Yeah, of course, they're an immigration agency, so they will get you to Australia. It is not guaranteed because they tell you very little. It is not guaranteed. Just because you're paying us, it doesn't mean that you're going to get that visa. So I'm not too sure if you guys have experienced experienced this, but then when you go into those websites or you contact those people, they will be like, okay, so what's your name, what's your age, your occupation, and your work experience, because they need to calculate the points, because with them usually they do for permanent residency visas. So then afterwards they'll be like, oh wow, congratulations, you do qualify for a visa, and then this is the next step, and then they give you the price, and you're like, what? So that's what happened with me. I think I contacted about 3 or 4 of them, and when I got the quotations of how much it is going to be, I literally thought, oh my god, there's no way I am going to go to Australia, because we cannot afford this at all. And these agents will make you feel like if you don't work with them and you don't do this whole process with them, you will not be able to relocate to Australia. I nearly got discouraged, but after I realized that, you know what, I'm not going to be able to get help from an agent, I needed a plan B. Plan B was what? Let's go to the Australian embassy in Pretoria. So where we come from is Siyabuswa, right? That's where me and my husband lived. So Siyabuswa is in Mpumalanga, but it is about 1.5 hours outside of Pretoria. But then Pretoria is in Gauteng, so we are like on the border, and it is so weird. Like, we're close to Limpopo and close to Gauteng. Like, it's a very weird situation. We are like on the corner, so we decided, okay, we're gonna wake up very extra early in the morning, and we're going to be traveling to the embassy. Prior to that, we had never been to an embassy. We literally did not know what an embassy does. I don't know if he knows, but then I did not know what an embassy does. I don't think my husband had also visited an embassy before that, because my husband and I had never traveled abroad. We are from the village. People who come from where we come from, they don't do any of these traveling things. You can't even have conversations with people from the village about traveling anywhere outside of Siyabuswa. Where I come from in Siyabuswa, people are born in Siyabuswa, people go to school in Siyabuswa, you start dating go Siyabuswa, jola go Siyabuswa, you have children in Siyabuswa, you get married in Siyabuswa. If you're lucky, you get your higher education in Siyabuswa, you work in Siyabuswa, you live in Siyabuswa, and you die in Siyabuswa. Imagine never having had experienced a life outside of Siyabuswa until the day you die. And this is obviously something that happens worldwide, but we found ourselves in that situation where you cannot have a conversation with anyone about a life outside of Siyabuswa. Sometimes even those people don't even know that there is a life that is outside of Siyabuswa. And a lot of people that are from Siyabuswa, they don't travel abroad. Should you be up and down abroad, going all up and down, flying, living the high life, people will think that you are either a slave queen or you've got a snake underneath your bed. People don't do that. Where I come from, people don't go abroad. The furthest you can go abroad is Botswana and Lesotho. I'm joking. And Swaziland. Okay guys, I'm joking, those are not countries abroad, but Mozambique is abroad, and Nigeria. I'm joking. But what I'm trying to explain is that it is very difficult to get any information in the village. Okay, so to date, now me, Promise, as a 28-year-old, I have been to 2 embassies in my life. Okay, I've been to the Australian embassy in South Africa, and then I have been to the South African embassy in Australia. Obvious. Okay, so the reason why we went to the South African embassy here in Australia is because we were trying to handle some affairs back home. I actually did a dialogue on this. I think it was the April-May dialogue. I don't remember which one. We had to travel to Canberra, which is our capital city here in Australia, our capital state here in Australia. We had to travel there all the way from Queensland. That trip cost us about 3,000 or 4,000 Australian dollars. Guys, I nearly cried, because when I thought about it, because I'm still converting from the rand to the dollar, I realized that we spent about 40,000 just to travel to get one document to be signed. I'm telling you now, if you have any affairs that need to be handled when you are still back home, handle them now, today, because it is going to be so expensive. When I thought about it, I was like, oh my god, I could have built 2 bedrooms and double garage back home. But imagine that is the money that we used to fly and get accommodation to just sign a stupid document. You see, that was worse than a heartbreak. I will never forget that, ever, ever, ever in my life. I will never. But anyway, it had to be done. And the thing is, it was the first time actually setting foot and stepping inside an embassy. It was the very, very, very first time that I had been inside an embassy. It was actually a very nice experience. We met, I think, about 3 South Africans there. They were very lovely people. It was very nice being also in an environment with, like, it just had that South African atmosphere. There was South African art there. There was South African information. It really did feel like home. It felt a lot like apartheid too. It was like an old building. It just had like this spirit of oppression. I don't know why. Okay, I'm joking. It just felt very Nelson Mandela-ish. I'm telling you, it was just a weird feeling. You just knew, like, the minute you entered there, you were like, yeah, politics. Okay, for those who are wondering what an embassy is, I also don't know what an embassy is. But my processing of what an embassy might be is that an embassy is where, if you are from a particular country and you find yourself living in a different country, that's where you would have some of your diplomatic affairs handled. What is diplomatic affairs? I have literally no idea. I did not do international relations. But I'm assuming that it is something to do with visa affairs and making sure that you are being well represented in whichever country that you find yourself in. And if you are, let's say, for example, you're still in South Africa and you want to visit a particular country, you might go to the embassy or you might contact the embassy in order to get your visa approved or your visa endorsed. And then the embassy will kind of like serve as the middleman to whatever country that you're going to say, okay, fine, we do believe that Promise is legit and her passport, here it is, we see it, and we are endorsing a visa. She can come to the country to do whatever. I'm not too sure. I have never done that process. When we were here in Australia, going to the South African embassy, as I explained to you guys, we needed a document to be signed. We had a lawyer here in Australia and we also had lawyers in South Africa, and they explained to us that with that particular document, it needed to be signed and notarized by somebody who is a South African representative, so somebody who is a South African diplomatic per se, a South African diplomat. Yes, it needed to be signed and notarized by somebody who is a South African diplomat, basically meaning that that person is the one that has been authorized by the country to handle their affairs in whatever country you would find yourself in. Okay, so that's what we did. I don't think they only handle South African affairs, like only for South Africans, because when we were there was a guy who walked in and I think his girlfriend was in South Africa and she was doing some missionary work. I didn't even think people do missionary works in 2021. I was so shocked. And the guy needed something to be done for him to allow him to join his girlfriend there with whatever the girl was going to do there. So basically the embassy was going to help him to get his affairs sorted and his documents sorted in order to probably get a visa to go and join his girlfriend. I don't know. I did not ask too many questions because child. But anyway, the embassy is not only for citizens who find themselves in a particular country. Sometimes it might be for people who want to actually go into that country. So that's what we hoped would happen with us when we went to the Australian embassy, going to seek information about relocating to Australia. I get it now, we had gone on to Google and Google did not give us the results that we were looking for. So now plan B was the embassy. So where is the Australian embassy in South Africa? So the Australian embassy in South Africa is in Pretoria. I don't even remember the exact address, but I'm pretty sure if you Google it or you put it on Google Maps, it will pop up. But don't do that. Don't waste your time. It's a waste of time. But yes, it is in Pretoria. It is located where you find other embassies in Pretoria. I'm not too sure if there are embassies in Durban and Cape Town. I've never been to Cape Town in my whole entire life. Imagine. Me, I was poor, so I've never been to Cape Town. Durban, I don't think I've ever seen any embassies in Durban. But again, I've never been to Durban to look for such things, so I don't know. But yeah, a lot of embassies, you do find them in Pretoria, and I'm thinking again, it's because Pretoria is the capital city in South Africa. So yes, the embassy is in Pretoria. We traveled there. So when we got there, we found the embassy. We parked somewhere outside. So when we walked to the gate, we saw the security guard, and they were like, "Hello, Baba Gunjani, how you doing? Fine. We want to relocate to Australia, and we're just looking for information. Can we please go inside the embassy to ask some information?" And the guy said to us, "Well, you cannot go in." How? We can't go in? So he was like, "No, you can't go in." And we're like, "Okay, why can't we go in?" And he was like, "Okay, what exactly are you looking for?" We're like, "No, we want to relocate to Australia." And then they asked us, "Are you Australian?" We're like, "No, we are South Africans. We want to live in Australia." He was like, "Oh, okay, give me 2 seconds." Then he went into his booth and he came out with this little piece of paper and he gave it to us. It had the following on it: www.homeaffairs.gov.au. We traveled all the way to Pretoria for that. And that is how I got introduced to the Australian Home Affairs website. So maybe the trip was fruitful. Maybe you should go there to also get that piece of paper. I don't know. But I'm telling you now, that's exactly what you're going to get. And there was a little hole through the gate and he gave us that piece of paper and he said to us, "You go on this website, you will get all that information there." And I'm like, "What do you mean we're going to get all the information on this website?" It's like, everything is on that website. What do you mean? He was like, "Sissy, don't ask me anything. Everything is on that website. They just told me to give you guys this website. So take this piece of paper, Sissy, and go on that website." And that is exactly what we got the Australian embassy in South Africa. So I'm telling you guys now, do not waste your money, do not waste your time going to the Australian embassy in South Africa. that is exactly what you're going to find. I'm not even too sure if things have changed now, because this was like 2017 when this happened, but I'm pretty sure it is the same way. As I explained to you guys, the relocation process is on the immigration website. As the guy said, he was not lying. It was true. I wish we did not have to travel all the way to get that information. I wish it was very easy for us to get that. But when you go onto Google, the Home Affairs website is not the first one to pop up. The only time that this website will be the first to pop up is when you visit that website on a regular basis, because that's what I find now also. I think it's this whole algorithm situation. So yeah, that is that, you guys. I felt it was very important for me to share this information with you, because there's a lady that I was speaking to. She lives very far away from the embassy. It is very easy for people who are in like Pretoria or Johannesburg, because it is not that far. But if you're going to be coming from other parts of South Africa trying to go to the embassy looking for help, you are not going to get help. The embassy does not help with you getting any working rights, any work permits, or any visa, because everything visa related, anything and everything visa related is found on the www.homeaffairs.gov.au website. That's where you're going to start the whole process. That's where you're going to upload your documents, and that's where your visa is going to be granted. Everything is literally done online. So it is a blessing, because it means that you've got access to everything literally on your phone, in the palm of your hands, in your home, in the comfort of your home, which is great, and it is amazing. You just need to make sure that you've got the right information and you're engaging with the right people, and then you can obviously get your visa, get your job, or get whatever you want to get, and you can come to Australia. So yes guys, in closing, do not visit the Australian embassy in Pretoria, because they will not be able to help you with your relocation journey. They'll give you the website that I have been telling you guys about for over a year now. The trip was worth it, because they gave me a legit website, and their website did help us to then come here. So you see, everything works together for greater good. Anyways, you guys, I'll see you again in my next upload. Take care, and I love you a lot. Bye bye.